Hi, I'm Delphine, a Catholic 30-something who's trying to tackle all things dating from a theological point of view. Today we're going to be talking about sex, baby, and why it's only appropriate within marriage. Okay, so before I get called a prude, as I did in my video about dressing modestly, thank you to whoever sent that, by the way, I do want to say that, you know, there was a time when I thought this concept of no sex before marriage was old-fashioned, archaic, that the Bible didn't understand what it was like to live in the modern world and all these things. And little did I know, really, that, I mean, of course, there is nothing new under the sun. That is what the Bible says. And everything God has designed, He's designed with our best at heart. So He always wills the good for us. I know that some people might think that, and I'll talk from a Catholic perspective, that Catholics don't like sex or they think it's this taboo. And they couldn't be more wrong, because God designed sex. Like, God gave us this incredible gift. And the thing about sex is it's meant to be two things: procreative and unitive. So it's meant to be able to, you know, give life and make new life, and then also to bring a couple together in marriage. And we know this from a scientific point of view because of the levels of oxytocin that people experience after they are intimate with someone. Oxytocin really allows you to bond, and you know, it's called the cuddle hormone for a reason. If you're engaging in sex with someone who isn't your husband or your spouse, you're confusing the system, because all of a sudden you've got all these chemicals going everywhere. Quite frankly, if you are having sex outside of marriage, you might as well be dating drunk, because you're inebriated on all these chemicals and you can't quite see straight. And the purpose of dating is to discern, you know, could this person be my spouse? So when you are having sex outside of marriage, it's really difficult to be able to see that, to be able to logically, calmly and like reasonably make these decisions, because your body is basically saying, like, I love this person, like I'm one with this person. How confusing. And that is why heartbreak is so rife, because when you're breaking up with someone that you were intimate with, it goes against the design, because sex was meant to solidify a relationship into the status of marriage. It wasn't meant to be had with someone and then you guys break up and you're not together anymore. That is heartbreaking and heart-wrenching, and it's so unnatural, and I think that's why there's so much pain and heartache and all these kind of games in the world today. But don't listen to me. Let's go to the Bible and see what God has to say about this. So in Mark chapter 10, verses 8 to 9, and the two shall become one flesh. So then they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore what God has joined together, let no man separate. I mean, how incredible is that? The art of marriage is that you have two people who then become one. I think that's incredible. Let's go to the dictionary. So I was looking at the word consummate. So to consummate a marriage means to make a marriage complete through the act of sex, to, you know, make it valid. And then I looked into the word consummate in general, and it means complete, finished, or masterful. If it means complete, finished, or masterful, surely waiting until marriage is the greatest act of self-mastery. And we know this. We know that the Bible says about fasting and about depriving ourselves of things so that we're able to actually enjoy the feast. I love that saying that, like, in order to feast, you must fast. So this concept of having self-mastery is like overcoming the fleshly desires, overcoming temptation and sin. And, you know, that's what we're meant to be here on earth doing. It's not in the Bible, but there is this concept called soul ties, which to me really helps to understand these verses, because it's as if every time you have sex with a person, you're giving them a little bit of your soul, because you're meant to become one with that person. So then when you separate from them, or you break up, or you don't see them again, you've left a little piece of yourself in them, and they've left a little piece of themselves in you. And I see this, and so, you know, if you're interested in it, definitely look up this concept of soul ties, and asking God, if you have been, you know, if you have had sex before marriage in the past, you can ask God to help heal your heart and help to complete you again, help to retrieve any soul ties that you've left with anyone else, with anyone who isn't your spouse, and move forward. You know that God is a forgiving God, a redemptive God. We are never too far from redemption. And God knows us. God knows that we are broken, we are fallen, and that we suffer from the temptation of lust. So let's look at a letter from Paul. So this is to 1 Corinthians 10:13. It says, no temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and He will not let you be tempted beyond your ability, but with the temptation He will also provide the way of escape that you may be able to endure it. So we know that sex is a temptation, we know that lust is a temptation. Paul does say earlier, because of the temptation to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband. He also says, to the unmarried and the widows, I say that it is good for them to remain single as I am. But if they cannot exercise self-control, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. I mean, that's really interesting because Paul himself is acknowledging that it is difficult. It is difficult to remain chaste. It is difficult to really see the act of the marital embrace as something that is so self-giving for your spouse. It's not meant to be about your own pleasure or seeking pleasure or using another person. It is meant to be this art of self-giving that is unitive and procreative, as I mentioned before. In conclusion, I want to talk about this phrase of staying pure until marriage. People say, wait until marriage, stay pure until marriage. I think we need to reorder that in our mind, because it's not just about staying pure until marriage. I think it's about staying pure for marriage. Because even within marriage, you need to be able to show and practice self-mastery and chastity. You still need to remember that sex is a gift from God, an incredible gift from God, that isn't about using the other person or seeking them for pleasure. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed my reasoning about why God has designed it this way, to protect our hearts and to make us revere sex even more than we do. Because it's amazing, Christians, Catholics, we're not against sex. God created it for us, and it's a beautiful thing. If you found this video insightful or interesting, if you agree or if you disagree, do let us know by leaving us a like or a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to Salt for more Christian dating content.